Marriage isn't supposed to feel exhausting, distant, or lonely. But if for many couples, it does. And if you've ever wondered why marriage feels harder than expected or how to reconnect when love feels thin, this conversation may speak to your heart. So, Arlene Pellicane is someone who helps couples build marriages that feel lighter, stronger, and connected. And Arlene, thanks again for stopping by this year to talk about marriages because it's National Marriage Week.
So much fun. I always love talking to you, Nancy. Thanks so much for having me on.
What decisions make marriage easier long term?
Yeah, our theme at National Marriage Week this year is Together with Purpose. So that purpose is needed in marriage. The meaning that marriage brings in connecting with someone is so important. And what my husband and I found after 27 years of marriage, we wondered, okay, this hasn't been awful, right? It's hard. There are things you have to work through, but when you look at back at life, it's like I really like being married. So we kind of asked the question, what was it that made it not easy, but easier? And that's what led me to write this book, Making Marriage Easier. And those four key decisions that you're asking about really helped us. The first decision is play by the rules. Know what you can and can't do in your marriage. Have boundaries that you keep to and follow, the have them understood by both partners, right? So that you're both on the same page. Play by the rules. The second decision is to give thanks, that it's very, and obviously it's like, okay, I know to give thanks. But if you have that attitude of, hey, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the life we have together. I'm grateful for the roof over my head and the little bread in front of me. If you have gratitude, it makes a huge difference in marriage instead of, well, she got to go on this vacation and I didn't go. And you used to bring me flowers and you never bring me flowers anymore, right? That really, together with purpose, starts to fall apart with that. And then the third decision is to serve one another. And you can imagine how popular that one is, Nancy. But the idea, of course, is instead of thinking, hey, what are you going to do for me today? How are you going to help me? You turn that around and you say, hey, is there anything I can do for you today? It's not about being a doormat. It's an attitude of, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm not here to tear you down and make your life miserable, right? So how can you serve your spouse? And then the last decision is to take fun seriously, that instead of it being like, oh, we'll have fun once a year on our vacation, or we'll have fun, when the kids are grown, how can you make fun more of a core piece of your home? Whether it's there's a lot of laughter, you find levity in situations and you decide to laugh about them instead of being mad. You're scheduling date nights that are fun. You're watching things that both make you laugh together. So make sure that that fun isn't just something way out in the future, but you can check by just asking yourself, when was the last time we had fun together? And if it takes a really long time to answer that question, then oh, it's time to put something in the schedule.
I love that you try to help people keep marriages together in these cute, fun ways because you know what happens? You got two people in a marriage, they're both working,
Yeah.
and you got maybe they have kids. It's just a hard for them. They have hard time like finding that time to spend together, and life gets really tough, and they forget how to smile, and they may be even saying it to each other, don't you smile anymore? Don't, how come you're not happy? All that. So I have to ask you the question, how does marriage push us outside of comfort? How does that happen?
Yes. Our comfort zone is, oh, we're going to walk, we're going to go to work, we're going to come home, we're going to scroll on the phone, we're going to put a few things in our tummy, scroll on the phone some more, and then like maybe run some errands and then go to sleep. Right. And then you can do that day after day after day. Marriage says, hey, you know what? Maybe you guys are learning something together. My husband is taking a dancing class right now at the community college so he can learn how to do these ballroom dances. So we're learning how to waltz and how to foxtrot and how to tango, very much outside of the comfort zone, right? Like the first time we tried this, like you look absolutely ridiculous. And this is just one example. It could be an activity, it could be a service, it could be a degree that you're going to learn a new career move. But when you do these things as a married couple, it helps you to grow. And on your own, sometimes we just get kind of stuck in where we are. But that other person who is probably different than you, right? That introduces this new element that, okay, yeah, maybe we should try that. And that's actually a good thing instead of really just valuing comfort over all else. For us
Yeah.
to instead say, you know what, this is actually good that you're making me come out of my shell a little bit more.
Yeah. And it also makes me think, Arlene, about, as you're talking, pride a
Yes.
lot of time will hold you back from, say, making that connection with your husband because you
Yes.
might be ticked at him,
Yep.
or she might, have ticked him off or whatever. But, hey, Jesus says, that's, you got to convict yourself and say, I'm going to let go of this and I'm going to try something new and try something fun and maybe smile at my husband or my wife. Get over yourself and move on is what I'm saying.
I really like that you point out pride because we don't think that way. We think, oh, it's his problem, like it's the other person's problem. And if they would get it together, we would have a happier marriage. But obviously, there's always two sides to the coin, and we're so good at making ourselves feel we judge ourselves on our intentions. Well, I'm such a well meaning wife. I'm certainly not doing anything wrong. And we judge the other person on their actions, their behaviors. You did this, you did this, you did that. So for us to realize, oh my goodness, it's me. I'm the one who needs to humble myself and say, I'm not a great listener. I haven't been as affectionate to you. I've been kind of criticizing you instead of supporting you. I'm really sorry. So let's start with us. How can we humble ourselves and the way we want our spouse to treat us? What if we just really made it our aim? Let me go first and treat you like that.
hmm And you know what a roadblock is? I gotta say this. A roadblock is what's the deal with the social media and comparing yourself and your
Yes.
marriage or your husband
Yep.
to other things or wife to other things. That's a detriment right there.
Just think if you had a meal and you had, let's say, a chicken and some vegetables and rice, and you were so happy and you just like had your meal and you were great. But then you spent the next hour looking at like all these Michelin star restaurants and Italian restaurants in Italy and Greek restaurants, and if you looked at all this like amazing food for an hour, and then you think to yourself, well, I just had that paltry little chicken. And is it right? It's like if you spent so much time, 1 hour, just looking at food, you would think like, wow, I really have an awful life. So we do this, that we have something really good and beautiful in our marriages. And then we go online and we compare and we're rating, oh, they're better than me, but I'm better than them. And you're going through. And of course, what social media is showing you is not real. Like even today, right? It would be even more like even in the future, it'll be even truly not real, like AI generated, not real. And we are comparing ourselves to this, and it is to our detriment. So for a lot of us, it's just, hey, we need to do maybe 50% less of that and just spend 10 minutes with our spouse, and you'd see a big difference in your marriage.
I love the way you're addressing everything as I'm going along here because there's so much to this. I would hate for anybody to miss what you're saying and how they can, apply this to their marriage and to their lives. So, okay, so now I'm going to ask you, why do couples start feeling like roommates after a while?
Yes. Just think it's, we don't naturally, like if you leave a car out, it doesn't just like clean itself, right? It's going to get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And the same is with a marriage. If you just kind of leave it alone and let it go on autopilot, it's like it's going to get kind of not so great. And you're going to feel like, well, there's no spark anymore. We don't really connect. We're not spending time. We're not having fun together. We just are kind of barely getting by. Like you pick up this, I'll pick up that. Let's eat. We got to go here on Saturday. Okay, right. So, a couple things, really easy ways to snap out of that and start re-falling in love over and over again. That decision, right? To keep choosing your spouse. That's what National Marriage Week is about, to resource you, to help you to keep doing this. So, one, do things that roommates don't do. Right? Roommates don't
Mhm.
hold hands and look at each other. Dr. Arthur Brooks talks about the oxytocin express, that hormone that happy that bonds you. So easily you can do it by looking at someone, eye contact, and touching them. So holding hands, hugging, kissing, of course. If you kiss your spouse when they come home for 5 to 30 seconds, or you try to make it a challenge that every day I'm going to kiss you for 5 to 30 seconds. And my husband and I have done this. We've thought it. We've do good for a few days and then we forget and then you get back on it. But that roommates don't do that. So if you are kissing, that helps you remember, hey, we are not roommates. If you're having dates and having fun together, okay, roommates don't do that. So do things that roommates don't do. And even if you don't feel like it, and after a little bit, you'll feel like, oh, yeah, we're not roommates. We're actually back to being intimate. We're back to being lovers and romantic and not just simply roommates.
I love the way you talk about that and the way that you inspire someone to go and do something. You're giving direction. And you know what? Even if somebody took a portion of what you're saying and
Yeah.
applied it, right? It would
Yeah.
still be better than just letting it lay flat and nothing happening. So now I'm gotta ask you, like, where should happiness come from in a marriage?
Yes. So do not look at your spouse for it, right? If you think like, oh, I'm a very unhappy single person, but if I get married, that will bring me happiness. And then you get married and you're like, oh, now I'm an unhappy married person. So it's really important to realize, oh, it's not my address. It's not the car I drive. It's not the amount of money I have. Once you have your basic needs met, right? So you're eating, you have a roof over your head, you have a place to sleep. If you didn't have those things would matter a lot. But if you have those things, then having more of it isn't really going to bring you that happiness. And that true happiness and contentment comes from God. And when we look to our spouse to fill that, our children to fill it, our career to fill it, our church and service to fill it, it's not going to do it. So for us to remember, wait a minute, my happiness, contentment, my joy comes from God. It's also a decision. Many of us falsely believe it's just like a genetic disposition. You're either happy or you're not, or you either have a really easy life or you don't. Right. And that's what makes you happy. And that's not right. So, researchers have found that about 50% of your happiness is kind of the set point that you were born. You're born a Tigger or you're born an Eeyore. And about 10% is your circumstance. You've got a hard situation or you don't. But 40% is your decision, is your attitude to decide. And it's really based in gratitude. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to look for these good things and I'm going to choose to smile and be happy. If you work at a really upscale, let's say department store, it's your job to smile and to be gracious and to help people with their things. Even if you've had an awful day and you feel terrible, but you put that smile on your face, right? And you do it. And believe it or not, in our homes, even when you don't feel like it, if you were like, you know what, my child deserves a mother that is smiling at him, I'm going to smile, even though I don't feel like it. My husband, he's been working all day long. He deserves to be greeted by someone who at least looks kind of happy to see him. So maybe you're pasting a fake smile on your face at first, but believe me, you do that a few times and you match that with gratitude and that will become reality for you. So I just encourage you, realize you can choose to be happy, and that's a superpower God has given us.
Amen to that. I love it. And so I have to ask you this question because a lot of people, maybe a mother or father prioritize the child
Yes.
over the spouse. And that kind of, uh, it happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
What do you do about it?
Oh no, this is a huge thing because it feels good. Like I am their parent. Of course I'm going to take care of them. And of course you should be taking care of them. But what the baby needs, which is, 24-hour care and let's keep this baby alive, is not what the 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old needs. You don't have to orbit around your children as they grow up. And that's the mistake that many parents make, that we make. We forget that we're a husband and a wife and we just become a mother and a father. And what's
Mhm.
really important is to realize, one, a strong marriage is really the greatest blessing you can give to your kids if they know, wow, mom and dad love each other, they like each other, they're not going anywhere, they're going to be there for me. That's going to give your child such a feeling of security. So instead of you go running around town ragged for them all the time and then never looking at your spouse and then drifting apart, that's not going to be as meaningful to them. So prioritize the, hey, daddy just got home or mommy just got home, so we're going to sit here on the couch and just talk for 5 minutes and you guys have to wait for us. Prioritize that. Mommy and daddy, yeah, we talk, we do things, we go on date nights, you go to the babysitter, you go to grandma's house, you go to the friend's house. We do that, we prioritize that. And to realize, now my kids are 21, 19 and 16, and you realize, oh my goodness, they're going to grow up, God willing, they'll have their own families, they'll leave you. And no longer am I the most important woman, right, in my husband's life. After he marries, I'm number two. After he has children, maybe I'm number six, right? And then to realize, wait a minute, my husband, he's always going to be my number one. So you need to honor that. You have to cultivate it. You've got to care for it so that when the kids leave, you're not left with like, oh, we have nothing in common now because the kids are gone. So you've got to make sure, am I treating my spouse at least as good as I'm treating my children, if not better, if not better.
Absolutely. And being an empty nester,
Yeah.
it gets even harder because they leave you, you've
Yeah.
put all your eggs in their basket,
Yes.
and then they leave, and then what do you got? Now you have to try to reconnect.
Yeah.
So it is good to continue that connection with your husband throughout their lives and make him or her, guys, if you guys out there are watching too, make her your priority.
Yeah.
Make him your priority. And so, a friend of ours, as you know, has passed away just, not too long ago.
Yes.
And was my husband's high school friend. And so how would you say, what would you say to couples that grieve loss together?
Yeah. It's so difficult, right? And so, if it is a husband and wife that are grieving a loss together, like my husband and I, we lost a baby at 26 weeks. And so, when you're grieving that, to realize, let's unite over this grief instead of letting it divide us and just really, because crisis can really tear a couple apart. So I think allowing each other to grieve in different ways, to realize that sometimes one is up and one is down and one is down and one is up, and that's good and we're going to help each other. So really make the decision, we're going to unite over this, because when it's all said and done, there's no one else in the world that understands that grief like your spouse does. So walk together. So really make that decision. We're going to do this together, pray together, seek help. I something that really helped me during times of trouble, like when we lost that baby, was just having older women in the church, pray for me and pray over me and ask God to help me, and talk about these grieving things, not to bury them, but in the right time and right way to talk about them is very good. And then, you think of the grieving widow or the grieving widower. I know when father-in-law passed away, my mother-in-law, she went to like a grief group, a grief recovery group, and they still meet, and they meet, they call themselves the G Squad because they're the grieving widows, right? And they still meet and support each other once a week. And I think those kinds of things are really important and helpful.
I need to ask anybody out there, what changed your marriage through hardship? And so, if you want to know more information about Arlene and get her book, really making marriage easier. I mean, come on, it's fun and it gives you ideas and maybe even insight into your own marriage and some tips on how to make it better, as she's trying to tell us today. And so, Arlene, where can they find out more about you and get your book?
Yes, you can go to marriageweek.org, and you'll find my book, Making Marriage Easier. You'll also find from February 7th to all the way through Valentine's Day, there's a free broadcast that you can watch with people like Dr. Gary Chapman to help you with your marriage. So every night, starting on February 7th, you can sign up to get this free live stream. You can watch it live or you can watch it later. And all of that is at marriageweek.org. And you can also find date night ideas, couple connection. If you're like, okay, we're here, what do we talk about? You can find all those things at marriageweek.org.
And what would you like to leave my audience with today?
Do not give up on your marriage. Sometimes you think like, "Oh, is it worth it?" It is worth it. It is worth it from what I experience and what from I hear from people. It's just going to get easier and easier and easier as you get older and you get kind of used to like, "Oh, I know how to fix this." Before it would really trouble me, but I know how to fix this. So if you're going through a hard patch, stick through it and it's going to be sweet on the other side of this.
I hope you were blessed by this conversation and reminded that God is still working in your life and in your marriage. Be sure to come back next time for more faith filled conversations here on the call. See you then.